You can get a 450 rally bike for $9,000. Catch is, it's from China. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We're gonna find out. This is the Kove Rally 450, and it's made in China. And I know what you're thinking, if it's from China, it can't be that good, right? So we reached out to them and said, let's try your bike. Let's see if it's any good or not. And they were totally hip to let us ride it and really tell you what we think of it. And I gotta say, it's surprising. Really, really surprising. For $9,000, you get a rally bike that is going to be street legal. This one right here is not. This was not homologated for the street yet. They're still going through some EPA and DOT stuff, but it's gonna be homologated for the street. It's a 450 single. It's got 8 gallons of fuel. It's got rally bike styling, and it makes 52 horsepower. It's everything you want out of a rally bike and a small adventure bike or a big dual sport. It's got 12 inches of suspension travel, 12 inches of ground clearance. It's got a fairly tall seat height of 38 inches. Sure, it's maybe not quite as refined as the Japanese bikes or the Austrian bikes or the bikes from Italy, but it goes well, it handles awesome, and it's super fun to ride. And it's the only really rally bike you can get in the United States. So starting off with the engine, it's a 449cc single dual overhead cam. It's an engine that's been in development for a little while by Kove. Originally they were gonna make it a single overhead cam engine, and it just wasn't making the power they want. So they made it a dual overhead cam. It revs really high now to like 9,000 RPM is where it's making its peak power. It loves to rev, but it's got enough down low to get you out of kind of crawly situations. It's geared kind of high, but it's built on a bottom end that they built to last in terms of being more of an adventure bike than a motocross bike. So it's got almost twice the oil capacity of most motocross bikes. It's got 1.8 liters of oil capacity. It's got a bigger crank. It's built really solid on the bottom end, and it still revs decently quick, and it makes decent power. Is it 450 power that you would expect out of a KTM or a Kawasaki, something like that? No, it's not, but let's say it's more like a 350. It still makes plenty of power to be fun and be fast. It's got a few issues with fueling down low on the fuel injection, but they say they're working on that. The airbox is on top of the engine, which really it's not like an airbox. It's like a downdraft, toolless air filter change. It's big, long rally thing, and it's open. So it's kind of got a really loud intake noise, so it kind of feels loud. But then when the bike's off riding in the distance, it doesn't sound as loud as it feels. It's made to be a adventure bike. That's what they're really going for. They're going for hooking up someone that's looking for a very light adventure motorcycle. And that's the initial market for this model. Let's talk about the handling, because this is where a lot of cheaper motorcycles can fall down, right? You've got a bike that is built at a price. That means that some of the components can't be to the same spec as the bigger brands have. Suspension is not by any brand you've probably heard of. It's Yuan, YU-AN. It looks like a Showa copy, kind of, but overall, it works pretty well. It's got compression and rebound adjustment. The rear, it's got preload, compression, rebound adjustment. When I first got on it, it was a little harsh. You had to kind of crank down on the compression too tight, and it really made the front end chattery, and I was like, ooh, okay, here's where it falls down. Took some compression out of it, sped up the rebound on the rear, and now it handles pretty well. We went through some whoops and some big bumps and some chatter, and I would say it's good. It's unrefined, but it's good. It doesn't have quite the ground following ability that you would expect from something more expensive, but it's also not throwing you on your head or doing anything dangerous or weird. It does it, but it doesn't feel as nice. Handling wise though, it's long, which makes it really nice for going fast, steering with the rear end. You kick the rear end out and it doesn't want to pass you really quickly. It's super stable, it's long. Did get a couple spots on some fast sand roads where I got a little bit of head shake. Squeeze the tank with your knees a little bit more and screw on the power and it straightens right out. Ergonomics, yeah man, it's a rally bike. It's got a really skinny seat. It's got a really skinny tank area. All the weight of the fuel is down low on the two front saddle tanks that are 2.5 gallons on each side. Then you've got the one on the back that's 3 gallons for a total of 8, and it carries its weight really low, so it's easy to kind of move the bike around with foot pressure and pressure on the bars. It doesn't feel like its stated weight of 320 something pounds. The brakes are good. They're Nissan brakes. They work wonderfully, just what they needed. And they said maybe in production, they may switch to Brembo because they're having some supply issues with Nissan, but as they are now, strong as any other off-road motorcycle brake system. They work great, and it's got ABS. It's got 3 modes of ABS. It's got both ends on. You can turn just the rear off, or you can turn both off. So everything you need for off-road riding. If you want to be all the way off, in between, whatever, it's got you covered. And you do all that through the TFT dash. It's got a really nice dash. Works really well. You've got selector mode buttons on the left side of the handle grip, about 4 button pushes, and your ABS is changed and you're off and running. I didn't know what to expect coming into this bike. I didn't know if it was gonna be great, if it was gonna be okay, if it was gonna be surprising, if we were gonna be like, well, whatever, that was a waste of our time. And I gotta say, like, definitely not a waste of our time, not a waste of your time to go check one out, I think. I think it's cool. I wanna go rally racing. Is it a problem that it's from China? Well, I mean, that depends on your personal and political beliefs, really, and what it comes down to and who you wanna support in a global economy. Chinese manufactured goods are everywhere. There's no getting around it, so why shouldn't you get a motorcycle from China as well? For the money, it's an insane value. I got no problem with it. There's no shame in my game. If it's good, I'm gonna ride it. So that's it for our review of the Kove Rally 450. If you like what we're doing, hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends, and of course, I know you're gonna have comments and questions, so go ahead and put them down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.